Good morning and welcome to VSA Morning Miner. It's Friday the 6th of January and this is my first Morning Miner of 2023, so Happy New Year. Paul, how are you doing?
And Happy New Year to you. And we've got a blue sky outside. I think it's the first one this week at this hour.
Yeah, and this year then. Andrew's in the States, I'm sure he said yesterday on the podcast, but we'll be doing this for the next 10 days or so while he's away. So where do you want to start, Paul?
Well, it's the most news out of the whole week, actually, on the mining space-wise. A lot of it coming out later on Thursday on the TSX. But let's start off with the increase on the Guanajuato silver raise. They had announced back in December that they had raised about $6.5 million, and now they have in the first tranche, and now the second tranche will be closing around January 10 or so, but with a raise adding another $2 million to that, so a total of about $8.5 million Canadian raised by Guanajuato Silver. And this is for general working capital purposes as far as their incentives on mine growth and implementation improvements across the three properties are now operating, including the three that they acquired from Great Panther last year. So very good support from investors on the Guanajuato story.
Yeah, it's all supporting that fast track ramp up, which is quickly getting them to sort of a run rate of about 3 million ounces per annum in the first quarter, and it has also helped. The silver price has been quite sticky over the Christmas period, now trading at about, I think, $23.50 an ounce. So in recent terms, that's fairly strong. But we'd expect that to increase through the year with help from gold and also probably global economic recovery in the second half of the year.
And particularly, regardless of the general macroeconomics, all the indications are a really big boost intended across the world in solar panel manufacturing in the next 3 years, for which silver paste is a significant growing component.
Absolutely. Let's move on to American Lithium, who have announced that they have qualified to join the NASDAQ exchange, and I think we'll start trading on January the 10th. The stock in Canada has bounced quite strongly on the back of that and is now over $3 again.
Yes, so that NASDAQ listing should improve the daily liquidity among retail investors across North America, with so many of them trading in New York markets as opposed to Canadian markets. And I think it's also supportive for future visibility, I think, as American Lithium pushes on with more advanced studies on the Nevada lithium clay, and as well as their lithium and uranium assets down in South America. So just more visibility at better trading volumes, I think, is the main benefit here.
Yeah, and I think having a US listing for a US project, particularly with all the government support for a domestic supply chain, helps firm those US credentials, and it probably also opens them up to potential inclusion in indices in the future, which should help the share price. Any other news out there, Paul?
Yeah, the big news I wanted to make sure to mention, it's been quite a while in the negotiating phase, but it's finally Caledonia Mining has finally sealed the deal and acquired the former Anglo-American property called Bilbo's open pit gold deposit 75 kilometers north of the regional airport city of Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. Consideration of the shares worth 65 million and 1% NSR is the purchase terms. The vendor gains about a 28.5% interest in Caledonia overall and appoints one director to the board. The main point around this one is it's a fully permitted, and they can start oxide leaching again on plus 2 gram gold material from February. So it's talk about a near-term production opportunity on what is a really sizable resource is really good news for Caledonia shareholders here. And it is intended to complete a new feasibility study in about 12 to 14 months' time, but the internally created one by the vendor, which is recent, would indicate that the mine should produce about 160,000 ounces a year. And as an open pit, it about triples the corporate gold output for Caledonia.
Yeah, it's a significant acquisition, isn't it? Adding on to the pretty solid performance that's been coming out of Blanket recently. Anything else?
And just that TSX listed Soma Gold boosted their resource statements on their Colombian gold activity and produced a new PEA, which is relatively robust. Key story around Soma Gold is it is a small scale producer, kind of on the model of Sarabi Gold, Shanta Gold, Caledonia mining, companies that have grown relatively small commercial scale operations successfully into bigger companies, and Soma Gold is definitely on that trend.
Excellent. All right, we'll call it a day there, and we'll be back next week. Thanks, Paul.
Very good. See you then.